Why did you start playing Fallout 4?
Wait, you want to hop right into that?
This
then,
is the
huh?
most pressing thing I need to know right now.
I was feeling a little nostalgic for just any Fallout action, and since it's, of course, the newest one, I thought, well, maybe I can give it a little bit more time. Additionally, I was talking to my brother-in-law, and he purchased the game a while ago, and he hasn't played it yet at all. And we both brought up the fact that we paid for the DLCs, which is a major regret of mine, and haven't really played them. And so I was like, well, I might as well play the DLCs while I'm at it. But after an hour of playing that game on survival mode, and just forgetting how kind of buggy it can be, and honestly not that, I don't know, just not that fun. Not that engrossing at all. After about an hour, I was like, well, this is mostly just frustrating and dumb and boring. And maybe I'll have to revisit it, either not playing in survival mode, which is just unbelievably punishing, even at the later stages in the game, or I'll just probably never finish it, and I wasted a bunch of money on DLC I'm never going to play.
Do you think the game could stand up on its own, just on its story? Like, if you turn the difficulty slider down to minuscule to whatever the easiest form is, and just plow through the game?
The story's not good. The story's not really fun at all, and especially not in comparison to the other Fallout games, because I'd say Fallout 4 ultimately has the best combat gameplay by far, but there's not really much that makes me want to do that. Normally, your combat is getting tied in with objectives that you're trying to complete in the story. Like, you're adventuring and traveling and solving problems and getting involved with things because of the story, and that's why you're using then the combat in Fallout, at least in 3 and New Vegas. But in this game, there's no story motivator, and the gameplay was good enough and entertaining enough for the long amount of time that I did play it upon its release. I don't want to pretend like I didn't put a lot of time into Fallout 4 before finally quitting, but ultimately going back is really hard because I kind of got what I needed to out of the gameplay. And now, because there's no interesting story really to keep me moving forward, the gameplay is just not satisfying enough to motivate me to continue, I guess. I could go back and replay New Vegas and Fallout 3 because I enjoyed those quests and those stories quite a bit. And so even though the gameplay is not great with them, I still remember a lot of iconic quests and would replay them for the fun of doing it. And also the other thing is too, I was thinking about it, is that the other games had at least a little more diversity in how you could solve a quest. I was just thinking about how great it was with those older games that I was able to get involved in a quest and have my mind changed maybe once or even twice as to what my final decision or result would be. Where in Fallout 4, all that happened within the hour I played was please help us rescue another kidnapped settler. They want a ransom. And then it turns out that the people who kidnapped the settler were not raiders at all, but super mutants. And I was like, why are super mutants ransoming you? They should just be eating you alive. They have no need for caps. This doesn't even make sense.
It's perfect that you bring that up because I remember vividly a quest line in Fallout 4. Being as I'm the type of person that wants to raise my charisma first just to see what kind of interesting dialogue options are available. When I get into this shootout, because no matter what my max charisma can or can't do, there's no way to reasonably or peacefully end this conflict without getting into a gunfight. The difference between having any charisma and having no charisma basically meant, I get to convince this woman who's not even necessarily an innocent bystander to leave the fight. And now I get to have the fight again. There's literally no context to change.
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. That's the gas station or whatever, the small diner where the kid is a junkie and he owes money for some of the chems he's used.
Oh no, it's not even that one, but the fact that you're bringing up a second one is already a sign that this is a problem with the game.
Right. It's indicative that it's the same kind of hackneyed quest line or storyline over and over and over again, and they're almost indistinguishable from one another. Yeah, it's definitely especially bad in that case. And I think we've already shit on Fallout 4 quite a bit,
Yep.
but that's the thing that becomes readily apparent every time I try and go and give it a chance again, is just how sterilized the gameplay feels compared to the other games, especially the New Vegas, which had, I think, a lot of character and a lot of good writing that allowed whatever type of character you played to feel really unique and impactful in their own special way that Fallout 4 just does not feel like at all.
So before I ask you this next question, let me just say that it's November 12th, 2017. You're listening to the Fancy Ramen Podcast, a podcast about video games, anime, and other nerd shit. My name's Neil.
I'm Cookie.
And I'm Scott. And that was the longest intro we've ever done.
So I'm curious, will you have the interest or desire to try Fallout 4 when it hits VR December 12th?
No, I won't. I still have at least some intent to try and play the, I think it's Far Harbor DLC on my current regular PlayStation copy of Fallout 4. And then if that's no good, I'll give it up. And if it's good, maybe I'll play a little bit of Nuka World or whatever. But I just thought I'd give it a try. I didn't have much time to play video games this week, and that was something easy and nearby. And I did not actually get any enjoyment out of it. So I'll get off my soapbox of whining about not having fun while playing video games, which is what I'm trying to do when I play video games.
What have you been doing aside from, since you haven't been playing games this week?
Yesterday, I've been working on the side with my brother-in-law to restore, well, actually not even restore, tear down and completely replace and build a new roof for a cabin out in a place called 9 Mile, which is this really nice secluded area a little bit north of where I'm living that's just got this really awesome property with a cabin that's got a pretty shitty dilapidated roof that we recently tore down and started to replace. Besides that, I've at least been able to get excited and geared up for this upcoming snowboard season. Finally got my bindings taken care of. I have a pair of boots on the way that actually fit me because I accidentally ordered some snowboard boots that were a little too big for me. So I exchanged those, and then in the meantime, while I was just looking for some tuning gear, I found a sleeper deal on a snowboard that was too good to pass up. So instead of my original plan for what I was going to do for a board, I went and bought myself a brand new reverse camber board from Sierra. And the best part, of course, is that it has my girlfriend's name in large print letters on the bottom of the board and neon colors.
Because that's the company's name?
Yeah, the company's name is Sierra. And so I told her I bought a board that had her name stamped on it. I thought it was really funny.
So when you bring up bindings, so you've decided to change your keyboard bindings for snowboarding?
No. You know what I'm talking about, right? Or no?
No. Is that like
I
a
know what
matter
you're
of getting the
talking about.
shoe, the snow boot mounted to the snowboard?
Yeah. So like a skateboard, for instance, has grip tape, and your shoes go on the board, and the grip tape is what allows you to keep kind of your traction on it.
Right.
But with a snowboard being made to be very slick, not necessarily that you're like waxing the top or anything, but slick, and there's a lot of snow, so you can't keep your boards just on top of a board without having some sort of way to fix yourself to it. Your boots go into something called bindings, and bindings are placed on the board, very customizable to how you want your stance to be, and that's how you lock your feet to the board. So when you get on the board, you don't lose it from underneath you, and when you crash, it doesn't slide down the mountain without you.
Okay, I figured as much.
Yeah, so I got all the essential equipment, and I'm really excited to hit the mountain when the snow starts piling up a little more.
Hopefully you don't have to put any of that long dark experience into play.
Cookie, how long do you think my snowboard would last as reclaimed wood? Got a fire for about 15 minutes?
I give it 20.
Ooh, he's an optimist, ladies and gentlemen.
And Cookie, what have you been up to this week?
So besides working, I went to my first Nebraskon.
And you left early, from what I can tell.
Yeah, there was really that much going on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a
that's
3-day
true.
event, right? Did you go to all 3 days?
Yeah, so me and Lizzie both. Actually, Lizzie cosplayed all 3 days. I officially cosplayed one of the 3 days.
Wait,
And it was pretty much just afternoons.
like you say officially cosplay. How can you unofficially cosplay?
That's when you just accidentally wear what a character would wear.
That one. Today I wore a lion t-shirt from Steven Universe. And Lizzie was Rose, so I was her lion. So that's how I unofficially cosplay.
So yeah, really your torso did all the work on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Your torso was cosplaying, but you weren't. What were you cosplaying as otherwise?
So me and Lizzie were both Pearl from Steven Universe on Saturday, and it turned out lovely. And we hunted down all the pearls that we could find, and also doted on all the Stevens we could find, and admired all the roses we could find. It's a good time. And on Friday, I wore the jacket that the Hotline Miami guy wears. So that is also how I unofficially cosplay, because I decided I was a little bit too tipsy to put on the mask. And Lizzie was Umaro-chan from Himoto.
From Umaru-chan.
Or is her name Himoto from
No,
Umaru-chan?
Himoto is sister, little sister or something. It's a play on it, at least, because I think Imoto is sister. So Himoto is apparently a blend of little sister and Himono, which translates to dried fish.
Yes.
Little dried
So
fish
my wife
sister.
Yeah.
My wife was a little dried fish sister on Friday, and she got lots of pictures and lots of people congratulating her on a very well done cosplay. So yeah, went to NebCon for the first time. Went to a couple of interesting panels, and by a couple of interesting panels, I went to one panel that wasn't that interesting, and then one panel that actually was pretty interesting. With I forget what the uninteresting one was. It was an anything but with a voice actor, so they were asking her anything but voice actor questions. She was somebody on Danganronpa, she's somebody on Fate, and she's white, and she's like 12 years old.
Actually 12, or just she plays young characters?
No, she was born in 1992.
That would
so
make
she's
her not 12.
25-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make her double the age of 12 at least.
I mean,
Perfect.
now I'm curious as to what role she played in Danganronpa. Danganronpa.
She was somebody. I forget who she was. And the interesting one was the Keith Silverstein panel. He's a really cool dude. Super hilarious. And for those who don't know, he is the voice of Torbjorn, among other characters.
That makes sense. I remember you saying something about Torbjorn's voice actor's really cool. And I was like, I wonder where that came from, because I have no idea.
But you're not going to point out that he also did work on Resident Evil Degeneration, the hit film from 2008.
Ooh.
He's also in Miraculous Tales of Ladybug.
He's also in Ice Age 4, Continental Drift.
He's also in League of Legends. No, the chick that we went to go see, she was in League of Legends.
What?
Ignore me.
What character now?
Who does she voice act? Neil needs to know.
I think it was Zoe.
Zoe?
Oh, Zoe is going
the
to be
new
a brand new
character.
champion, I believe.
Yeah.
That's topical, actually.
Yeah.
Zoe's coming out pretty soon.
We could probably do with another podcast without talking about League of Legends, though.
Yeah, that was a thing.
So, like, are there, this is not necessarily a big city or a hub for, people to fly into. So what exactly is at a anime con or a game con, or in this case, Nebraskon, aside from your panels and then your cosplayers? Like, are there merchandise booths?
Yeah, lots of vendors, lots of They were doing showings, lots of vendors, drinking and partying, I guess.
Any gaming
Same.
at all?
Yes, there was across the street, because they were too big for the hotel that they were in. They had a tabletop gaming area set up, and on one of the random floors, they had like this big video game room set up, which is actually kind of interesting, but also looked really, really crowded. So we walked in, saw what it looked like, and walked out.
Oh.
But just a bunch of TVs, smelled like hot nerd, and
It's my favorite smell.
yeah.
Can you get that scent at Express? No, did you have any other thoughts to share about Nebraskon, your week and so forth?
I may go back, maybe.
That's
I hear it's
pretty lukewarm response.
Well, I hear it's got the terribleness of words I can't think of being the same every year.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So it's got like the same people
it's
every
redundant?
year. Yeah. So like the vendors are always usually the same vendors. There might be like one different vendor. Same guests are always there. So that was what's his name? Mr. Silverstein's like seventh Nebcon.
Oh, do you pay for tickets for a single day, or do you pay for all of the event?
So we bought all 3 days, but you can just buy like a single day. But at the price of a single day on the day of, so like the Saturday ticket was like $35, whereas us just buying our 3-day pass like months in advance was also $35. So
Oh, I see. So it doesn't confer any benefit to just go for one day.
pretty much. So I was like, so maybe not. We'll see. Lizzie enjoyed cosplaying, and so I think we'll probably go for more of that aspect.
There's another event that's really good for cosplaying. You know what that is?
Comic-Con?
Oh, October 31st, Halloween.
Yeah, but it seems like you got to be outside and it's cold.
There are also certain costumes that you probably can't do on Halloween that are also still kind of scary to do at a convention. But when you said you were going as someone from Hotline Miami, that would be maybe one costume I would be worried about wearing anywhere.
Why so? It was just, a Letterman jacket, a scary mask, and
A baseball bat.
I actually went with a lead pipe.
Ooh, even better.
Yeah.
It even has real blood.
Well, I'm kind of sad that Nebraskon kind of crept up on us, or at least on myself.
It's
because,
every November.
Yeah, it's just like I had it in my mind that this was something I was interested in checking out. Lachlan had brought it up and said that he had like tickets to some after party for Tiffany and myself. And then I just kind of spaced it. And then I had this business trip where I was gone for the week.
Yeah, tell us about your business trip.
Segway.
I was in Pennsylvania and I got back. But I guess really the most notable thing about being in Pennsylvania was that I had Cracker Barrel like multiple times. And I don't know why anyone goes to Cracker Barrel. But more importantly, I played a lot of video games a lot of one video game while I was in a hotel room for many hours. And that would be notably Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. So it's curious that you brought up that voice actress. That game's also been out for quite a while, but I probably won't go into spoilers. I sort of regret us not ending up doing like a let's watch of the anime series for this, because if it in any way is a decent representation of the game's story or plot, I think it would have been pretty good in discussing a lot of the twists and possible cliffhangers if they had, created the episodes properly. But Danganronpa 2 is basically a continuation of the first game. I don't think I talked about it on this podcast, but it's basically a weird high school murder mystery thing where a class gets stranded in a situation and they're basically told that in order to get off the island, they have to kill someone and then get away with that killing. Ultimately, what happens is when someone gets murdered and people discover the body, they end up doing a group investigation, and then you end up in a courtroom, which I imagine is kind of similar to that Ace Attorney game. I'm blanking, from Nintendo,
No,
Uh,
Ace Attorney's right. But
Is it?
I was about to say Ace Attorney.
Yeah. Objection.
It's great because he
Phoenix
also
Wright
happens
Ace
to be an
Attorney.
Ace Attorney. Phoenix Wright, there we go. Now that these games are on Steam, I would maybe recommend you guys catch them or try them out when they go on sale for Black Friday, assuming they go on sale.
Okay. Quick question though. You're committing the murder and then you're trying not to get caught, or
So you're actually not committing the murder. The story basically is that in both of these first games, you don't want to kill anyone, but other characters in the cast eventually come up with motives and end up killing people. So the rest of the class has to investigate and figure out who killed who. Like, not to get into the story too much, but the idea is if you're able to weed out who the actual killer was or is, then they end up getting executed. And you go on with your normal, quote unquote, life until someone else gets killed. And then you jump back into the loop of, trial, punishment, life, murder, trial, punishment, etc. So it's kind of like you have regular visual novel elements where you're just living your day-to-day life and trying to figure out the mystery of like why your characters were put into this weird situation. Then you have the investigative part, which is more point and click-ish. And then you have the trial, which the creator of the game, and this is like a Spike Chunsoft game or developed game, the creator tries to implement like a bunch of weird mini games into the trials. So like if there's a ongoing discussion going around, you're going to have all this text fly across the screen, or not like very quickly or anything, but certain statements will show up on the screen and you have a bunch of evidence that you try and either contradict or support these emphasized claims. And then other times you have mini games that don't really apply at all to the workings of a case or a trial. It's like for some reason you're now on this weird snowboard going through this digital tunnel, and all you have to do is like dodge obstacles and then go on to the respective answers when questions pop up. And in a lot of ways, the game design in the trials is actually really not bad, but not great. It's certainly not fun for me, but what I get the most fun from is seeing these
condemning
murders.
people to death, Neil? Is that what it is?
Yes, it's exactly that. Looking at the murder scenes and trying to piece together exactly what happened even before the game walks you through. And that's maybe one of the most infuriating things. Maybe not infuriating, but like annoying aspects of the game is that oftentimes you can figure out mostly how a case works before your character understands it. So the trial system, if you will, isn't so much about you immediately blurting out who the killer is, but leading the characters, and specifically your main character, into understanding what happened and who did what. It's kind of like the mysteries themselves usually aren't good enough to be completely concealed and unravel as your character unravels them. But at the same time, there are a lot of twists that just kind of catch you off guard. I don't want to say the mysteries are too easy, because I think they're intentionally easy at times, just because there's usually one or two hooks in each case where it's like, oh yeah, you think this is all obvious, that, everyone's got this alibi and everything leads up and makes sense up until this one point where, wait a second, like everything you thought or assumed happened a specific way turned out to all be a trick. And you are just at the same time as the main character learning that like everything you assumed was actually wrong. But like nothing's ever so cheap in a way that if you knew what the outcome was and the explanation was at the start of the investigation, everything would still make perfect sense. Like it doesn't ever feel cheaply done.
So it's like watching an episode of Another.
Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good comparison for sure.
Except, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything in Another that makes me, I don't know.
You knew exactly who the killer was, and then they were like, oh yeah, this character was actually this character.
Yeah.
Everything you thought was wrong.
And there's evidence at the start to even lead you to that premise, but it's just so concealed that you don't necessarily ever catch that.
Right. Good storytelling prevents you from really seeing the smoking gun. It's definitely there. The barrel definitely has smoke coming out of it, but for some reason you're like, oh, what's going on with this slingshot? This seems pretty fishy.
It's like there's a smoking gun, but there's also a bonfire, so you don't necessarily see the smoking gun initially.
Yeah, that's a better metaphor than I had. Obviously, slingshots don't emit smoke.
What's wrong, Tiffany?
Oh no, my joke was that bad?
Damn.
Ooh, sorry, Neil.
Tiff, just say it. Say it. What's wrong?
Another's trash and its storytelling's trash and you're all fucking trash.
Ooh. Ooh. Well,
I don't know what to say now.
I know. Yeah.
That hurts so bad.
This is why she doesn't get a mic.
Yeah, there's something about Another that doesn't like resonate well with me, but I mean, at surface level, like that's a good comparison between the two. Except you get like 6 of those weird cases. So this game's very much the same as the first one in a lot of ways, except it builds off of the story from the first game. And it also, because you have played the first game, you set up a lot of preconceived notions of how things are going to happen in the sequel, and you end up falling prey to that past knowledge because the game ends up like distorting and throwing things at you in a different way. Really enjoyed it. The third game came out this year too, and John, who's been on the podcast before, is currently playing it, so I'm going to try and catch myself up with the other media that's out there, because there's 2 anime series and then like a special OVA that take place after the first 2 games that I need to watch. And there's also a third game which happens in between the 2 games that I'm currently watching a Let's Play of, or the cutscenes at least, because I really don't want to play this kind of half-assed third-person shooter that they made. That's all I really played for games this week. Oh,
I guess.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I guess I remember I'd have played a game this week.
That wasn't Mario?
Kind of.
Or
That wasn't Mario.
please do tell.
Call of Duty came out.
I've heard a lot of like polarizing opinions about Call of Duty World War II.
I've heard a lot of shade.
Well, I will say the game is very balanced and I like it. There are no servers right now. So I'll finish a game and then get kicked out promptly and then not get that win. So besides all the broken shit, I like it.
You actually make it through the game, so the servers are working in some half-hearted way.
Yeah, so basically what they've got going on, they turned out the dedicated servers and it's just, it's not quite peer-to-peer, but basically we're hosted with somebody. So by the end of the game, somebody jumps out and I get disconnected and it's just like,
and you lose that victory. Do you need the victory for anything? Like, do you get experience points that allow you to purchase things?
So they have orders that you need to do.
Okay.
Well, orders that you can complete if you want. And so today I was doing an order that just said, hey, win 1 match of domination. So me and Lizzie got on, jumped in, played a match of domination. We utterly destroyed. I got kicked off. Lizzie somehow managed to stay in the lobby long enough to get her victory. And so I didn't get a victory for the domination win. And you also lose any kind of like bonus XP that you're getting for that match because it's like all timed bonus XP. You also lose all of that. It continues to take like that 8 minutes off.
So this is
like
when
the 20
Lizzie
minutes.
starts to overlevel you just because it likes her slightly better.
Pretty much. But yeah, besides all the broken that were the servers when the game first came out and that are the servers now, lack there of servers now. It's good. I like it. I think I'm actually gonna pick up the season pass for this.
So, Cookie,
Really?
I do have just one question, and that's what's your favorite rifle, and why is it the Carabiner 98K?
It is not the Carabander 98K.
It isn't?
It is not. I don't even know what that one is.
What? That's like that. No matter what World War II game I've ever played, that's my gun every time.
I'm trying to think, what is the Carabander 98K equivalent in COD World War II?
It should be a bolt-action rifle with a wood body that does a shitload of damage, and normally its front sight is like a ring.
Okay, so it's the CAR 98K.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
one, just
same thing.
KAR. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's in here. That's a sniper rifle, actually. I think. Is this one a?
I thought it was more of like a standard infantry rifle, but it
Yeah, it's
Depending
a bolt
on the
action
game,
rifle.
depending on the game, you can put a scope on it, or like the developers will use it as either a iron sights rifle or a sniper rifle.
Yeah, it looks like it goes for all three. And yes, the Car 98K is actually a beautiful gun, but I'm actually rocking my MP40.
You're a close quarters kind of guy.
Yep, and I'm also rocking the AOM.
guns. They shoot bullets. Have you played the single player campaign?
I have started the single player campaign and promptly forgot it
Because it was that immemorable?
because I was too excited to play multiplayer. And I'll honestly say the zombies campaign kind of caught my interest a little bit, but I don't think I'll continue to play that. Kind of like the way they run you through the tutorial, it seems more story focused. Like there's a jump scare, but yeah, I'm just like, okay. So I like Call of Duty so far. It's a Call of Duty game. If you've been playing Call of Duty games and buying every single one, it's a return to World War II. So that's always good. And if you've been playing every single one, I'm surprised you're still playing Call of Duty because I needed a 3-year break.
Well, do you feel happy now that you've like what is your, I don't want to actually ask a leading question, but what are your feelings now that you and Call of Duty have reunited? Have you settled your differences? Have you both kind of grown as individuals more?
We have grown as individuals more, and I'm hoping that we'll have a good year together.
That's it though. You don't see it like a long-term
future.
relationship
Yeah.
happening.
Well, Call of Duty changes every year, so I don't know what she's going to be next year.
Are you saying there's an element of association, personality? Wait, disassociative personality disorder?
Yeah, because today she's Sledgehammer, tomorrow she'll be Treyarch.
That's true. Wise words.
Oh, and you guys will be proud. I also finished. Well, kind of finished. I also finished. Lizzie also made me finish Stranger Things season 2.
Nice. What'd you think?
It was really good.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I actually may have preferred this season over the first one.
Considering I bailed on the first season,
Yeah.
I like this season a lot better too.
I'm surprised that, and spoilers ahead only on the fact that Stranger Things 2 is probably not the last Stranger Things we'll see.
I think there's supposed to be 5 seasons.
Oh, 5 seasons, yeah. I'm surprised actually that they didn't end it with this season. Like if I were doing storytelling, I think I would have been satisfied with what I did with Stranger Things 2 and called it good. But
They know
Makes sense,
beforehand
but-
that they are going to make this horrible, just like Dexter.
Have you started watching Beyond Stranger Things?
no, I haven't.
You should.
I haven't
Okay,
watched
Rick.
Stranger Things season 1 yet, so
Neil, you'll
Neither.
get through it pretty quick. It's one of the few things that I think is pretty like rewarding to kind of binge watch 3 or 4 episodes within a day. And if you do it at that pace, you can finish it in about 2 weeks or so. Like just, a day where you're pretty low on things to do. You can watch a couple at once. It's like a really good long form sci-fi movie.
we'll see if that happens. There's so much to watch right now.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you guys. I'm trying to catch up on all of the Dragon Ball Super I've missed, and in the same kind of spans, I was wondering if there were any actually good animes you'd like to point
Hold
me
up.
toward.
Are we talking about anime?
Mage's Bride.
Japan
I know.
animation
in the,
anime.
In the video game section, and I'm the one who brought it up. I understand how unprecedented this is.
All right.
But just quick question. What's the best thing you've seen in this season so far that I can probably find on Crunchyroll? And is it Black Clover? Because that sounds
No.
interesting. Oh, okay. We got to know there.
I was about to say, what is Tiff watching that Tiff likes?
Yeah, but why do we care? She doesn't have a mic.
Because Tiff doesn't like anything, so
Okay, Cookie, you first.
Well,
What anime are you watching?
I'm still catching up on my Ruby. The Ancient Magus Bride, Cheer Boys, Food Wars, Recovery of an MMO Addict, And Boruto.
That's one really long title for an anime.
Yeah.
You remember that thing I was going through when I was like, I need all of my animes to have really long titles?
You need
the Fall
all
Out Boy
of your
titles of anime?
animes. Yes.
Yes.
So, okay, before I say anything, Boruto, really? You're watching Dragon Ball Super and Boruto. Like they made like they're making fun of themselves at this point. His name's Boruto.
Yeah, you've
Okay.
made that point, and I don't think it's gonna have any more sticking power than it did last time with Cookie.
Nope.
Yeah,
Anime's too good.
and you
I
can
like the story.
you can trash talk, Dragon Ball Super all you want, and I completely understand, but still got to see what that next transformation is.
Okay. There's a great.
What color is his hair gonna turn? I really want to know.
At this point, it's turning red. Okay, so I have two questions. The first one is Ruby. Is that also the fighting game? So like that's all a Rooster Teeth thing, or
It was
So,
the show
Ruby-
first.
what's that? And then it became a fighting game. Okay.
Yeah. And not a very good fighting game, I don't think. I've never played the Ruby game, but the show, Rooster Teeth show, and Monty Ohm, mainly it's just Monty Ohm being produced by Rooster Teeth, is the way I see it.
All right. Second question. Do you guys know who Plague of Gripes is?
Plague of Grapes?
Yeah, Gripes. Plague of Grapes. No, Plague of
Wrath?
Gripes. He has a video that is very. He has a video about power levels and Dragon Ball Z that I think you might be interested in watching. I personally haven't. Tiffany did watch it.
Is it like the thing about the whole they're doing the power levels wrong because there's no like in game, so it's just always that was a Shonen Jump, the Shonen Jump Spiral video that I watched a little bit ago. That's pretty much like, yeah, power levels are dumb. You shouldn't go off of power levels. One Piece is doing it right because eventually he's going to make it to the thing. Eventually Naruto did become the Hokage.
But Naruto, like the issue here is not so much like shonen formula, so to speak. It's more how do your characters get past challenges and obstacles. Like Naruto and most of the characters in Naruto have like interesting powers, and they have to use powers intelligently to beat other enemies. So like you might face someone that's just inherently stronger than you, but it's all about using your specific power to overcome their power, or like it's about outsmarting your opponents. But in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, like later Dragon Ball stuff, it's more about like, okay, what can I do to overcome this enemy who is stronger than me? It's to increase my number.
Eggs, yeah.
So I won't go any further than it, but like the last bit I caught when Tiffany was watching this video was, I was really happy with how he analyzed and like presented certain points, and I think it's a very good watch.
Okay, I'll have to check it out because I see that he plays a lot of Dark Souls, and I respect the opinion of people who play Dark Souls. And additionally, I should also note, though, that like if anyone wants to make a gripe about growth and progress and how you use that as like a entertaining or like storytelling mechanic, Dark Souls is probably a good place to look.
You know what else is a good place to look? Steven Universe. Great place to look.
Yeah, that's
So-
true too.
That
works.
As for the most cutting edge of anime, I think maybe the show I am most enjoying right now might actually be Blend S. It's a weird, I don't know if you'd call it slice of life, but it's a comedy show about a cafe, like a coffee shop style food cafe, in which each of the waitresses is based on a character. One, the main character is this masochistic or a sadist, and the like the second would be the tsundere. What else is there, Tiff? Now you're not going to say anything. You have the One-chan, which is like the older woman.
Isn't that Big Sister or something?
More or less, yeah. But in
Okay.
this context, it's not so much having the big sister; it's just the older woman presence. Then you also have the little sister, and then the fifth character, which I don't think we've been introduced to yet, or I haven't, is I think supposed to be an idol, but is also a trap.
So it's a work comedy.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of if there are any other work comedies that come to mind aside from Working. And
I don't know.
And Working was good too, but I think this is on a whole different level of like bizarreness and humor.
It's not a huge work comedy, obviously. It's like a small portion, but I do remember being cracked up at The Devil is a Part-Timer, which I thought was pretty funny.
I still need to finish that.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really funny and unexpected for me just accidentally stumbling upon it.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm watching.
I've eaten up
Anime
our...
Gatcharies, A Sister's All You Need, Gintama. That's about it. That's all you need. That's not true. Those are the best ones this season.
Yeah, I still haven't caught myself up with Anime Guitaris. Has Liz been watching the new Himoto Umaru-chan?
No, we haven't watched it, unfortunately. It's on our list of things to do, but busy, life. We'll get there.
I will bring up one show that like I'm kind of like I'm invested enough to keep watching it, but I just don't expect anything good from it at this point now. It's called Juni Taisen, and it's this weird battle royale type anime. Battle royale within the context of all of the characters are put into this weird situation with weird rules, and they have to kill each other in order to win. And you already know that they're being put up to do this, and there's like an organization watching. So, yeah. But each of the characters, each of the 12 characters is based off of one of the zodiac, Chinese zodiac. So you have a character representing ox, sheep, rat, dog, and so on.
Are you cheering on for your character of the zodiac then?
I think the character I was cheering on has already died.
Oh,
but
was that the character of your zodiac?
So it was this. Wait, no, I can't spoil anything in case you want to watch it. But
I just want to know what your zodiac is, Neil, so I can laugh.
You mean my
zodiac
specific
wins.
zodiac?
Yeah.
And we're talking Chinese zodiac, just to be clear, right?
Yes, I'm totally aware of what zodiac we're talking about.
So
you're a Cancer,
right?
I am Cancer, but my zodiac is not.
Are you a dragon or no? You're a couple of years younger than me, so you are.
I am wise. That's
wise. Are you a sheep?
No, sheep aren't
He's
wise.
a monkey.
Wake up, sheeple. I'm a monkey.
The monkey warrior has a lot of interesting powers. I'll say that much.
Okay.
I'm a
Not
rabbit.
being dead
I
is
think
a good power, so that's what I'm crossing my fingers for.
So I'm a rabbit if we go by strict Chinese calendar because the year starts, usually later than January.
Where you at, Cookie?
I think I'm a snake, but I'm not sure.
Oh, he's a sneaky snake.
Oh, I will spoil this part for you. The snake is dead before they even start.
Damn.
Oh no.
Like you get into the room where all the contestants are and the snake is just dead with his head off.
Oh no. Wait. The snake's head is cut off? You guys all know how snakes work, right? Their heads can still move sometime after death.
Let's just say that if you guys are interested enough in watching this, maybe you will.
We'll find out.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Wait, what's it called?
Juni
Taisen.
That's
Zodiac War.
Yep, that's JUINITAISEN. Promo code Ramen.
I'll have to check this out. I'll see how far my zodiac goes, and I'll stop watching once my zodiac dies.
Yeah, no promises. I'll just say that much.
I'll have to see how far my zodiac goes as well, and also stop watching.
Oh well, it was 3 minutes. Look at that. I might as well just watch another episode of Love Is Like a Cocktail.
Which I don't know, like I'm not really into that as much as some of the other shorter animes that have been out recently. Like
I just
really,
like
it's
seeing
everything
what
we
the
wanted to
cocktail
know.
drinks are.
That's all that anime is. That's all I wanted to know.
But maybe
That's what I want my
this
food
is like a
animes
good
to be.
example of like when a manga, like a short manga,
Is sufficient.
does something better than the short anime series. Because I think like Aho Girl in contrast, which by the way, if you haven't watched that yet, that's fantastic. That came out last season.
Aho Girl?
Girl.
Doesn't that
it's
mean
on my
she's
list.
an idiot?
Yes, it looks good. I haven't seen it yet.
Cookie.
It's on my
knows.
list.
I'll
He's
check that
watched
out.
one. Cookies. Do you remember the one where the kid's wasting time on his desk?
Oh, what's his name? Master of Wasting Time? Fuck, love that thing. Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Like Aho Girl and that one both do something. They both enhance upon the original media or medium. But I think
So
this
his love is like a cocktail manga?
yeah, the love is like a cocktail, whatever the fuck it is. Just doesn't like. I mean, there's not really anything going on to begin with, and it's not like they're doing anything interesting to begin with. It's just interesting that they have drinks that like I've never thought of or ever heard of.
And that's all I wanted, Neil.
Yeah, but you can like it's basically just a more interesting like drink cocktail menu recipe book. So you could just read the manga for that.
But then I've got to read, Neil, and you've struggled to get me to do that.
You're right. We're part of the YouTube age where everything has to be in a video form.
Exactly.
I made some badass brownies, speaking of which. Not really badass, they're weird. Anyways, that's completely besides the point. But I did that reading a recipe, and I realized, like, I didn't even read the recipe. I just looked at the ingredients, and I was like, I think I already know how to make this.
See? And now we can make it in video form, and it's going to be even better, and that way I can consume it as well.
Let's talk about some news and shit, right?
To news and shit. Hot pot. Noises. Sorry.
So Telltale laid off 90 employees last week, which is roughly 25% of their roster. CEO Pete Hawley states our industry has shifted in tremendous ways over the past few years. The realities of the environment we face moving forward demand we evolve as well, reorienting our organization with a focus on delivering fewer, better games with a smaller team. We will use this restructuring as an opportunity to move internal development over to more proven technologies that will fast-track innovation in its core products as it works with new partners to bring its games to new audiences.
It missed a couple industry buzzwords, but otherwise, this is like a synergy speech. You know, there's not much to honestly glean from this.
You know, though, like the biggest thing I can say is that we're probably not going to see Game of Thrones Season 2 anytime soon.
Probably not.
From now on, because this seems to be the news story of the week every week, can we like do this Hunger Games style and shoot off cannons and stuff as Telltale lays off people? And what was the company last week?
Visceral,
and the company the week
got
before
shut
that?
down.
Visceral, yeah, and BioWare, and we'll just keep
BioWare
honoring
didn't
the
lose
fallen.
anyone aside from
BioWare didn't lose anybody except for their
Main head.
yeah, they're one very important person. So
Just that person that makes BioWare great.
yeah, and not to equivocate one person's job with the job of say 90 other people, but when you're say a really big and at least at one point in time very successful studio like BioWare, losing someone at the very top of your creative department is a pretty significant blow, I would say. Just like losing 90 employees who, you know, perform essential tasks for your business is also a pretty big deal.
But I think this seems like a much more natural thing than Visceral being shut down, because Telltale Games like kind of exploded in a way that I don't think a lot of people were expecting, and they also started making games at a rate that I personally thought was a little ridiculous.
Right, it didn't seem sustainable, and I was surprised at how many Telltale games there are. But although I haven't played much for Telltale Games, I will say what I'm aware of is normally pretty well received. They worked on like Tales from the Borderlands, they've done The Walking Dead, and they've also done Game of Thrones. Did they do a Knight's Quest, or a King's Quest, or whatever that is? Do you know what I'm talking about?
That was someone else, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. I think that was actually Sierra.
Kinda. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, Sierra's a super old game development company. That makes sense.
What is up with today and everything being Sierra?
Oh, I don't know. It's Sierra's day today.
It's kind of hard to really understand how they're doing as a company too, because I don't necessarily think I didn't think they were hurting that much, but at the same time, critically speaking, their games lately haven't really been great successes.
No, they haven't had anything big that comes to mind recently.
And that's the other thing too. Like, I know the games that are well received by critics are ones that may not have sold as well. Like the werewolf game. Oh my gosh, what is it?
A Wolf Among Us?
Yeah, A Wolf
Wait,
Among Us.
Oh, yeah.
And on the flip side, this is maybe one of those situations where games are being received relatively well, but not necessarily doing well in sales. Like Doom last year did not do well initially, despite it getting great reviews, to the point where, Bethesda dropped the price down to like $30 after 1 month.
Right, which is too bad because it's an excellent game.
And I think they've made up with their
earns
sales
a
since then
$60
too.
ticket.
Yeah.
What I do recognize, although I don't know if it's the same for the gaming industry, but at least what I know about the business world is when you use the term restructure, that's often implying that there's going to be quite a bit of like streamlining and shakeups for like teams and departments. And so cutting people in order to kind of trim the fat is normally the kind of restructure phrasing that I'm aware of. And it might just be that these 90 employees were, I wouldn't say like, maybe I don't want to say underperforming by any extent, but like people that they felt they could essentially squeeze out in order to consolidate some of their skilled workforce.
Yeah, maybe it's not that these specific people were not doing their jobs, but just that, okay, maybe we have 10
we have
composers
5 developers and
yeah.
we think we can get away with 3 in this category.
Exactly. So while we're on that topic too, the key word innovation at first gives you some semblance of hope that maybe they actually clean up and do something with their like archaic system at this point, because again, the core mechanics and game system that they've been riding on has not changed much since The Walking Dead Season 1. But at the same time, when you read that sentence, to move internal development over to more proven technologies that will fast-track innovation, specifically more proven technologies. I don't know. The lingo as I read into this doesn't necessarily even give me any hope that they actually understand what's wrong with their games.
I would not take that as a hopeful statement overall. Whenever it's moving to more proven, it's more commercialized techniques or something that's decidedly just better because it's a more common practice. And that does not necessarily mean better innovation by any degree.
But
It just,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it just means that we're going to get point and click adventures exactly the same, but
mobile games.
better. But mobile games. I like it.
Injustice 2, we're getting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Are you playing as individual turtles or are you playing as all 4 at once?
I think you're playing as all 4 at once, so it's going to be like Pokemon Trainer, I think. I hope. In Smash Bros.
Smash Bros. Brawl. Yeah. That would be sweet. Like swap out Leonardo, move to Donatello, move to Raphael, move back to Donatello, move back to Leonardo. Never
or maybe
bring
they're
in Mikey.
Do you not
or
like
maybe they're a
nunchucks?
combo system.
Actually, no. If there's anyone I'd leave out, it would probably be I think it's Leonardo's blue, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Leo's
leave
blue.
Leonardo out.
You don't like
I
Musashi style swordplay?
I like the more uncommon weapons like the sai, the bow staff, and the nunchucks, and less of the single sword.
Wait, I thought Leonardo used 2 swords though.
Oh yeah,
He does use 2
He
swords.
does have 2 swords. Whatever. There are other people with swords, but how many other people have sai?
If you like uncommon weapons, you should try out the Suikoden RPGs. I mean, it's turn-based RPGs, so it's not like there's any difference in combat, but
No, I like uncommon weapons as in like a rifle spear and Bloodborne and other weird things like that. Or what is it? Logarius's wheel. I like uncommon weapons.
that
fill
was
that
pretty
void.
ridiculous. Are you still playing Injustice 2, Cookie?
No.
Do you plan on picking it up because of this DLC?
Yes.
So
I will pick up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
if you're playing as each turtle at once, so to speak, all together, does that mean there's going to be like an added element of like Marvel versus Capcom sort of assist system?
I'm thinking it might be like, so if you've ever seen the Swamp Thing playthrough, as he does moves, there's like multiple Swamp Things on the thing. So like one will like come up and grab coming out of the ground. So what Swamp Thing's the real Swamp Thing type thing? So I'm thinking it's going to be more like that.
Okay.
Like as you're doing combos, they're doing more of a hot swap. Maybe. I'm not sure. It's all speculation. I haven't even like watched videos on anything. There are no videos of anything of what people even think. At least I don't think. I haven't looked.
And so our last topic, unless anyone has anything else to add, is that a post on Reddit, specifically the subreddit Kappa, came up with a bunch of video game leaks. Now, supposedly the same poster also was the man to leak the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles leak for Injustice 2. So there's supposedly a level of accuracy involved here, but I'm just going to very quickly go through these and we can kind of tackle them. Like, if there's anything that is curious at all, give me a heads up.
Metroid Prime 4, woot woot.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just jump to Nintendo, and maybe those are like that's the most important thing.
I think that's what matters most. But Cookie, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to override that.
Yeah. I haven't even looked at this. So go.
Okay.
So
go.
Metroid Prime 4 is going to have some sort of reveal, potentially at the next Nintendo Direct in January. Not the next. There's one in December too, isn't there? Anyways, in January during their Direct. Bandai Namco is apparently developing the game, though we don't know what development studio it is. There's been pressure towards Game Freak to get Pokemon's 8th generation out for the Switch. And if you remember Pokemon Stars, that rumor, that was supposedly real, but all it was going to be was a port of Sun and Moon. So I'm assuming that leads to like a hint that maybe they're just going to end up using a part of that engine in the 8th generation. May not be too different, but we'll see. There's a new Animal Crossing game that they hope to release next year as well for the Switch. Mother 3 is real, which if you don't know Mother 3, the Mother series is Earthbound. This would be Earthbound 2. It's already been localized and is playable, but it hasn't been released basically because of business numbers and figuring out when they can release it. And apparently, Square Enix is working on The World Ends With You 2 exclusively
also
for Nintendo
exciting.
Switch. Oh, and then there's apparently a Hearthstone port for the Switch in the works.
Okay. Yeah. That is all pretty cool news.
Cool.
And it comes from an unverifiable source, so we can't say too much besides it's exciting if any of this is true. And it's especially exciting if only Metroid Prime 4 is true.
Outside of Nintendo-specific news, Soul Calibur 6 is apparently in the works, and there are versions going for PS4, PC, and Nintendo Switch. No word on Xbox One quite yet.
I think there was also news that Dragon Ball Fighter Z or Dragon Ball Fighters will be coming to the platform as well.
That's
so
correct.
You and I might be able to play on that.
And they're including 3 new DLC characters, including Broly, regular Goku, and regular Vegeta. Devil May Cry 5 is going to be announced at PSX, which that's interesting just based on the fact that they're apparently going to be, maybe not completely abandoning, but this doesn't look like a continuation of the DMC reboot that they did a couple years back. We should hear something about Resident Evil 2 next year, Marvel vs. Capcom info, and then more rumors regarding Street Fighter V Arcade Edition.
Wait, so with the Dragon Ball Fighter Z coming out on Switch, I thought we knew that already.
Not quite. We did not.
Because weren't they showing it off in a commercial? I need to find this out now.
I have no memory of that, so I can't help you confirm.
It was like in
neither
a
confirm
sizzle.
nor deny.
It was in a sizzle reel.
Sizzling. Switching. So I think that about does it for episode 40 of the Fancy Ramen podcast. If you have comments, questions, or corrections, you can write into podcast@fancyramen.com. That's podcast@fancyramen.com.
And if you've been enjoying the show, leave a review with us on Stitcher.
Or Apple Podcast. But most importantly, please tell a friend and help us grow our audience. It's been a pleasure recording with you guys. I'll see you next time.
Indeed.
Have a good one, everyone.
Kombawa.
Bye.